This week, Nintendo announced the OLED model of the Nintendo Switch, which features an upgraded screen, which will be a little bigger and a little brighter, along with a few other upgrades like increased internal storage, a LAN port, and the ability to have increased sound on the handheld unit. This has caused a bit of a divisive reaction among Nintendo fans because there was a previous rumor that in addition to these other upgrades, it was going to have a new chip, which would increase the potential of the game in terms of its processing power and allow it to have the ability to render games in 4K while docked. That has not happened, and it's unusual because when you think about mid-generation power upgrades for video game consoles like PS4 Pro or Xbox One X, those almost always come with pretty significant power upgrades. This, meanwhile, is kind of harkens back to the days of like the 3DS and those handheld upgrades where it was more about making the screen bigger or making it more streamlined or things like that. So Nintendo is in a kind of strange spot because the Nintendo Switch was already pretty underpowered compared to its rivals last generation, making some sacrifices for its portability. And so 4 years after launch here, many assumed that it was going to make some upgrades to at least try to catch up in terms of power. No one ever expected it to be Xbox Series X or PS5 level power, but the ability to get higher frame rates in games, higher resolution, be able to play a wider variety of third-party games. These are all kind of things people were hoping for. Instead, we got this upgraded screen, which is still 720p. It's not really even an upgrade in that regard. It's just going to be a little bigger, a little brighter. And that kind of opens the question of whether or not this was a good move by Nintendo. It may have been a necessary move, given that there is a global chip shortage going on right now, not just for video game consoles, but for all electronics. So trying to launch a console that utilizes a new chip this holiday, when this comes out in October, that would be probably an ill-fated concept. But because this is a Nintendo Switch, it does stand to reason that it will sell out regardless. Even current level Switches are pretty hard to come by, and this is $350, only $50 more than the base, and there are plenty of Nintendo fans who will gladly pay that. It's just a matter of not really being what everyone expected. We are getting deep enough into this console generation now where it's possible that the next true power upgrade for the Nintendo Switch might just be a full-on sequel console. The Nintendo Switch 2, Nintendo Switch Pro, whatever you want to call it. It seems like they might try and make a larger leap forward. They can always do this thing with an increased power chip later, but doing it soon after launching this model, like within a year, seems like it would maybe upset some people. So we might have to be waiting a little longer to see the Nintendo Switch improve in power. Meanwhile, the current gen systems from Sony and Microsoft are wildly disparate in terms of how far ahead they are in terms of power. A lack of power has obviously not hurt Nintendo because the Switch is able to sell so well, so it may not be first on their priority list, and they might just be kind of prioritizing giving the handheld players a better experience, which the OLED screen is supposed to do. We'll see how this shakes out, but it has split fans to some degree in terms of this being a useless upgrade that they don't need, and other fans who love handheld and love everything Nintendo does eagerly awaiting to buy one of these this October at any price. So if I had to guess, I think these are going to be hard to come by this holiday. That said, I'm not sure this is the most logical path of upgrades for Nintendo, or it's just them doing their own thing like they always do.